At least 80 people facing charges after a massive nightclub raid in South Carolina. Many of those individuals are undocumented, but people argue they're not all criminals.
At 2:45 a.m., Summerville, South Carolina, was quiet. Fog rolled across Highway 78 like smoke from a dying fire. Streetlights glowed dimly over empty roads, and the only sound came from a warehouse, pulsing faintly with distant bass. To the casual passerby, it looked like nightlife, a hidden club still alive after midnight. To the federal agents watching from unmarked vans 2 blocks away, it was something else entirely. A fortress. Inside a mobile command trailer parked behind a gas station, a dozen screens glowed in green and blue. Thermal images from surveillance drones showed clusters of human heat moving inside the structure. Over radio static, an analyst whispered, "We've got over 100 inside." Entry point confirmed, east door, reinforced steel. On one monitor, a red dot blinked beside a line of code. The name under it read, El Alamo VIP. For months, this unassuming nightclub had been under federal watch. The investigation had started small. A local deputy's report about loud music, late-night deliveries, and foreign license plates parked behind the building. But when Homeland Security investigations checked the property's ownership records, the trail led far beyond Charleston County. Bank transfers pointed to shell corporations in Texas. Phone intercepts connected to a number in Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, base of Cartel del Noreste CDN, the rebranded arm of the infamous Los Zetas cartel. The discovery changed everything. What began as a nuisance complaint had exposed the footprint of one of Mexico's most violent organizations, operating quietly in the American Southeast. At exactly 3 a.m., Summerville exploded awake. The first blast tore through the fog, a flash of white light, followed by the echo of a door collapsing. For residents nearby, it was a sound they would never forget. For Federal Command, it was the moment everything converged. From the air, 2 Black Hawks hovered low above Highway 78, rotors cutting through mist and humidity. Below, black SUVs advanced from 3 sides of the target. Headlights off, radios silent. The only illumination came from the night vision lenses, glinting green against the fog. Inside El Alamo the Sick, music was still playing, a deep, rhythmic pulse vibrating through the walls. Patrons danced, glasses clinking, laughter echoing beneath neon haze. Then, in an instant, the world shifted. A door burst open. A flashbang detonated. Light flooded the dance floor, white and blinding. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Then came the shouting. "Federal agents, get down, hands where we can see them." The crowd collapsed into confusion. Smoke filled the room. Screams merged with the hiss of broken lights. DJ equipment toppled, bottles shattered. What had been music and motion seconds earlier turned into a battlefield of chaos. Agents moved with surgical precision. Team Alpha breached the front entrance. Team Bravo swept through the service corridor toward the back. Team Charlie took the basement stairs. Each movement timed to the second. Thermal drones overhead tracked every heat signature, feeding live data into command monitors in real time. Outside, SWAT and K-9 units sealed the perimeter. No one in, no one out. When a man tried to slip through a side alley, a K-9 team intercepted within seconds. Every exit point was covered, every escape blocked. In less than 4 minutes, the building was secure. No shots fired. No injuries reported. It was the cleanest outcome Federal Command could hope for. At 3:07 a.m., the HSI field commander radioed in. Target secured, commencing sweep. What followed was the second phase. The discovery. The interior of El Alamo VIP looked less like a nightclub and more like a military installation. Agents documented everything, photographing, tagging, and mapping every room. Behind the bar were ledgers, the records written in both English and Spanish. Stacks of bills, bound with rubber bands. In a small office upstairs, agents found counting machines and a whiteboard filled with coded delivery notes. In the storage rooms, bricks of narcotics, some stamped with the emblem of Cartel del Noreste. Cocaine, methamphetamine, psilocybin, and synthetic pills. Each labeled by purity level, each awaiting distribution. Behind the DJ booth, an agent found a false wall. When it was removed, 2 hidden safes appeared. Inside, 3 passports from different countries, each with the same photograph, and bundles of cash totaling nearly $200,000. One of the most significant discoveries came from the dance floor itself. Thermal imaging from the drone overhead had shown unusual cold spots beneath the flooring. When technicians pulled up the boards, they uncovered sealed plastic barrels hidden beneath. Inside were vacuum-sealed bags of narcotics, foreign currency, and counterfeit IDs. In the club's basement, Team Charlie uncovered a reinforced tunnel leading directly to the alley behind the building. The passage was lined with concrete and soundproof insulation. It was an escape route complete with motion sensors and a concealed door. Federal engineers later described it as the most advanced urban exfiltration system seen in a cartel-linked facility on U.S. soil. Every detail confirmed what investigators had long suspected. El Alamo VIP wasn't an entertainment venue. It was a cartel command post, built to launder money, store weapons, and control human trafficking operations. Among the 72 detainees taken into custody, 2 names immediately stood out. The first, Tyrone Lawson, a 44-year-old security guard armed with 2 pistols and caught selling cocaine and methamphetamine inside the club. The second, Sergio Joel Galabaca, a Honduran national carrying false identification papers. When his fingerprints were processed through federal databases, an alert triggered instantly. Interpol Red Notice homicide. Galabaca was wanted for murder in Honduras. He had been hiding in the United States for more than 3 years, under a fabricated name. For federal command, his capture was an unexpected prize. By dawn, Galabaca and 2 suspected cartel coordinators were flown under escort to a federal holding facility. They would later face charges of conspiracy, trafficking, and murder. At 4 a.m., the raid transitioned into evidence recovery. Agents swept through the building, itemizing every weapon, document, and piece of contraband. The official count: 72 individuals detained, 6 juveniles rescued, including minors confirmed as trafficking victims. Dozens of firearms recovered: pistols, rifles, and 1 modified AR-15. Hundreds of thousands in cash. Large quantities of narcotics. Vehicles parked behind the club were searched. Inside, agents found forged IDs, counterfeit license plates, and multiple weapons caches hidden in compartments. A forensic team used portable X-ray scanners to detect hollow compartments in walls and flooring. One held a hidden hard drive, later discovered to contain financial ledgers and encrypted communications with contacts in Texas and Mexico City. By sunrise, the parking lot glowed under floodlights. Reporters gathered at the perimeter. Federal vehicles lined the street. The neon sign of El Alamo VIP still flickered faintly, the last remnant of a night that had turned into a battlefield. Inside the command trailer, officials reviewed the first wave of intelligence. The data connected El Alamo VIP to a network of accounts across Georgia, Florida, and Texas. The same tri-state pattern seen in previous CDN investigations. Transactions followed a precise rhythm. Money in on Friday, money out on Monday. Every cycle tied to weekend club revenues. The conclusion was clear. The cartel had built a domestic laundering system, disguised as nightlife. Each location served as a hub, a front for trafficking, money exchange, and recruitment. For years, CDN had been evolving. After losing control of border routes, they turned inward, embedding within American communities, hiding behind legitimate businesses. El Alamo VIP was proof of that transformation. By mid-morning, HSI released its first internal report. Operation Last Stand was deemed a total success. No casualties, no escapees. All high-value targets secured. Over $200,000 seized. The building sealed under federal warrant. Yet for many agents, victory felt uneasy. They had seen enough to know that the network extended far beyond Charleston County. What they had dismantled was one node in a much larger system. A senior FBI analyst summarized it best. "We didn't hit a nightclub. We hit a branch office of a cartel operating on U.S. soil." That statement would later appear in congressional briefings. At 7 a.m., as the sun rose over Somerville, light revealed the scale of the operation. The parking lot was still lined with federal trucks. Detainees were being processed for transfer. Reporters shouted questions over barriers, but no one inside command responded. Inside, supervisors stood before a wall of monitors, replaying the breach footage frame by frame. Each flash of light, each radio call, each movement cataloged for after-action reports. For the officers involved, it was the end of a long, sleepless operation. For the federal government, it was the beginning of something else. A new phase in the war against transnational cartels, now operating deep within the United States. The raid on El Alamo VIP would soon be called the cleanest multi-agency operation in years. But inside those agencies, one question lingered quietly. If a cartel could build a fortress in Charleston, how many more waited, hidden behind music, lights, and the illusion of normal life? By dawn, Charleston's skyline glowed gold against the mist. The fog had lifted, but the tension hadn't. From above, drone footage showed a scene frozen in aftermath. Federal trucks, yellow tape, and the flickering sign of El Alamo the 6 IP. Now a crime scene under federal control. Inside, technicians worked silently under bright floodlights. Every dollar, every weapon, every vial of narcotics was tagged and bagged. The music that once pulsed through the walls had been replaced by the soft hum of portable generators. At 9 a.m., Homeland Security Investigations held its briefing. 72 arrests, officials confirmed. Among them, 2 known cartel members, a Honduran fugitive wanted for homicide, and 6 minors rescued from human trafficking. Nearly 200 individuals processed on scene. No officers injured. No suspects escaped. Federal command called the raid a complete success. The press called it a revelation. But for the agents, it was something else. A warning. Evidence from the club painted a larger picture. Bank records traced millions in wire transfers to shell companies across Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Encrypted phones revealed delivery routes along the I-26 corridor, connecting Charleston to Atlanta, Jacksonville, and Miami. The pattern was clear. El Alamo 6 was not a local anomaly. It was part of a domestic cartel infrastructure, built quietly inside American communities. Inside DHS command, analysts mapped the data into a spiderweb of red lines. Each dot represented a venue, with similar cash flow and communications. Every week, the same rhythm repeated. Shipments in on Thursday, money out by Monday. The same signature appeared on each transaction. CDN, the shadow of Los Zetas, now reborn on American soil. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin made the message clear. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem, traffickers operating inside the United States will be hunted. Leave now or ICE will find you. Her words carried weight. Within hours, federal prosecutors filed a dozen indictments for trafficking, weapons violations, and illegal re-entry after deportation. The club remained sealed, a blacked-out shell under federal jurisdiction. Reaction in Somerville was immediate. Residents woke to helicopters and flashing lights. Some expressed shock, others relief. Rumors about the nightclub had circulated for years. Late-night trucks, armed guards, unlicensed alcohol sales. But few had imagined it was tied to a Mexican cartel. By noon, crowds gathered outside the barricades, phones raised, filming what looked like a scene from a war zone. A local shop owner said quietly, "We always knew something was off. But not this." Civil rights groups called for transparency on how detainees would be processed. But public opinion largely supported the crackdown. Even those who sympathized with migrant workers agreed on one point. The club had to be shut down. Inside DHS headquarters, the raid was being studied in real time. Analysts called it the Charleston model, a blueprint for multi-agency cartel takedowns inside U.S. borders. Within days, similar raids were being planned in Alabama, Tennessee, and Louisiana, targeting businesses suspected of laundering CDN money. The numbers were undeniable. 72 arrests, 6 minors rescued, 200 processed, 0 casualties. But the mission report ended with one final note. Charleston was a branch, not a root. It was both an achievement and a warning that the networks of Cartel del Noreste had already taken root far from the border. Perimeter teams in position. A soft click on the radio. Command to all units, 30 seconds. Hands tightened on grips. Breath slowed. In the distance, a thin line of headlights appeared. 3 armored SUVs moving through the fog. The clock hit 2 hours 59 minutes and 45 seconds. 5 seconds. 3, 1, execute. Engines roared to life. Helicopters rose above the tree line. The quiet of Somerville shattered into thunder. From the air, the strike looked surgical. A dark block of fog split open by beams of light. Vehicles advanced from 3 directions. Headlights cutting through mist. Agents moved fast and low, boots hitting asphalt in unison. Every angle covered, every route sealed. Inside the club, no one knew what was coming. The last drink orders were being poured. The DJ looping a final track. Then, in a blinding flash, the night exploded. A door shattered. A flashbang lit the room white. Screams. Glass falling. Music stopped. Federal agents, hands up, down now. Panic spread like fire. People dropped to the floor. Others ran toward side exits that no longer existed. Outside, the K-9 team closed in. Helicopters hovered low, shaking the windows. Through the smoke, laser sights sliced across the dance floor. For the crowd inside, it lasted minutes. For the agents, it was the culmination of nearly a year's work. By 3:07 a.m., the building was secure. The first phase of Operation Last Stand was complete. And what they would find inside that building would reveal a truth few Americans were ready to face. That the cartel war no longer stopped at the southern border. It was already here.
The war against drugs is never easy. Let's like and subscribe to this video together to spread the message to more people.